Good morning, everybody. This is Richard back at you. We got Jason's 72 Chevy in the house with a LS swap. It's got a 400 tranny, a 205 transfer case gear drive. We're going to pay attention to this one here. On the transfer case, we're going to fix a bunch of leaks. We got some seals leaking here. Got some seals leaking here. This thing is just covered really just nasty. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it in the parts washer, get it all cleaned up. We'll plug all the holes, get the external cleaned up, and then we have a seal kit over here that would just come in from Transtar where we can replace all the shift shaft seals, see them down in there, and all your main seals and stuff like that, gaskets. We'll basically, everything on the outside of the unit will be addressing to stop the leaks and stuff. But our main concern is the transmission being really noisy, the pump just growling like crazy. In our earlier video, the pan was just full of metal, just gray metal, a fine coating of it just everywhere. So, but we got little Annie in the house today. It's trying to stay warm, really cold outside. We got Miss Teresa on the camera again. Gotta love it. And of course, we got our 400 right here. Well, unfortunately, right off the bat, we just seen this crack right here when I got it out and set it on the bench. This one ear right here is, I could probably take a hammer and just barely tap it. You might be connected a little bit there and a little bit there, but other than that, you can probably just tap it right off.
That's terrible.
Yeah, let's get the governor out of it first and kind of see what it looks like, see if it's stuck up.
Where you know what the pan looked like?
Ma'am?
The pan.
Yeah, it was bad. Terribly bad. Which they did a good job there. I always silicone my governor cover on. I never use the cork gasket. It's something I don't do. Governor gear's tight. Hear that? The valve is moving, but it's just got that gray film on there from the metal. Now we always replace the governor gears on these. This looks like a probably original gear, but we do have a brand new one over here in the package. They always come white usually. You can see here. And you want to also notice the governor gear turns to the right on a 400, 350. On a 700, the governor gear leans to the left. So that's how you know the difference. Our vacuum modulator here. Modular valve was free. I believe the tranny did shift. He didn't say anything crazy about that. Now the valve is, the modulator is spring loaded. You can see it's spring loaded there. You have an adjustment screw right here. You can screw in to make your shifts early or late. I believe this is the second converter they put in here, so I'm really not sure a whole lot on this, but fluid's red. Got us some good heating oil right there. Gonna check our clearances here. So it's easy to stand it up on a stand and put a dial caliper on there and kind of see what our clearances is. We do have some. That gasket is just totally obliterated. You can see that, huh?
It had super smashed.
Get that out of our way. Of course, we have a deep pan with our long pickup tube. You always want to put 2 O-rings up at the top. That way It doesn't suck any air because this is above your fluid level. They do make metal ones of these too. You can find a metal one for, if you're going to be a high performance unit where your tranny runs really hot, you want to probably use a metal one. If you notice here, I talk about this sometimes when you have a four-wheel drive and you're really rough on them, bouncing up and down and stuff, you don't want it to jump into different gear. You can see here's an added piece that they put on their detent spring right here. Give it more pressure to keep that locked into gear instead of jumping over. If you don't, this one here is one that they bought. It looks like a purchase one, but I've taken and knocked the wheel off of it here and grind this down a little bit and just put a secondary one on top of it. Works really good too, so you don't have to buy one. You can find another 400 and use it. All these bolts here are going to be 1/2 inch. And then you're going to have your 7/16 right here, your 3 here. If you notice right here, these are your governor feed tubes right here. Kind of bend them up, pull them out. They're both identical. They'll go in either spot. You can see where they press down in here. A lot of the trans brake valve bodies, these holes will be plugged right here. They'll have plugs tapped in there. This does have a shift kit plate. You notice this gasket also says VB for valve body. This is your passing gear switch here. On this one here, it's electric. You'll have a switch under the dash, or you'll have a switch up on the carburetor that'll send a 12-volt signal down here to trip from third down to second, or from second down to first. If this isn't hooked up, it'll have passing gear to about 45 miles an hour, just because vacuum drops on the modulator. But anything above that, it's going to have that switch to make it work. Okay. This is some type of shift kit plate here. And you have your case gasket. This should have a C on it somewhere. There it is right here. I just want to get off that tearing it. Of course, it tore a little bit right there. You can see the C there for case. Now your valve body, or your kit, will come with 3 different gaskets. So you want to look at them, and you want to look in this area right here and match this stuff up. One gasket will fit both sides, or one gasket will fit one side, but the other gaskets, they're 2 different that will go on the other side. So you have to verify which gasket needs to go on the opposite side. I don't have the kit open to show you, but just remember to look right through here. One of them will have a tail, one won't have a tail. You'll be able to tell a big difference with the gaskets when you start matching them up. We have our accumulator here, kind of like our 350 on our other video. This usually has a really strong spring in here, and I always like to take it out and put a really weak spring in there. That way this piston retains that clip. See how that clip is stuck down in that hole? Now there's going to be a really light spring in here because somebody kind of, see right there, a really light spring. That clip. There's my clip. Fill that in there again. There it is. You can leave these out, the spring completely out. I like to put a spring in there and then put that back in there, and I actually fill this hole up right here with check balls. I'll beat them down in there, or tap them down in there, and then the last one I'll ping these 3 corners right here and just block this off completely. But you want to really make sure when you're swapping parts and stuff around, you see how this kick down band servo piston and piston stuff here, how it's got 3 legs and it's flat. Sometimes they're flat here and the legs will be here. So you got to be really careful. You don't want to ever put 2 legs together, okay? Because then you'll have the band on all the time. It'll burn the band up instantly because there's not enough gap there. Just remember that. That's something. It's usually just when you start swapping parts. You can have multiple check balls. You got one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and that one there. This one here and this one here has to go in there. You can leave these out if you want to. This one. It's going to shift really firm if you do, but this one here and this one here in the trough has to go in there. We have our center support bolt, which is a hollow bolt. Fluid physically goes through this hole here to apply a clutch in there. I'll show you when I take it out and show you how it works. And we have our reverse band servo in here and an accumulator. That little clip needs to be thrown, a new clip on here or something. I can hold my socket for very good.
I got some new ones.
You got some new clips for me? Like
Sure
that?
I do.
Yeah, this just loose.
I just hide them from you so that way you don't lose them.
I hear you there. You see here your accumulator and then your reverse servo here that applies the band. You can stick a screwdriver down in here and you can push on the band. You can, it's hard to know what the adjustment is on the band. I like to put it together and air check it, and you can visibly look down in here and watch the pin, how much that band's moving, and then you can kind of weld on this or grind on this if you need to put more or less on the end of here. Some people drill a hole, put a right here, and they can push on it and take the distance it moves through the hole to add the length of the pin or grind it off too. Because sometimes bands, they're not all the same. I got some wide bands in for my 4L60Es when I put the servo in on the side. I mean, I could barely get the snap ring in. So I physically had to take, I don't know, probably 30, 40 thousandths off the end of this pin to get my travel right for my 4L60E bands. So sometimes you got to check that stuff all the time. Just because I put a new band in here don't mean it's going to be right. Right, Teresa?
Yep. Whatever you say.
Somebody made that band. And that's what happens. Looks like we got some washers on our bolts. Like I said, I always like to double seal them. Washers don't look very healthy. Look like they've been used 3 or 4 times. Get our pump out here. This is what I'm really wanting to look at too. See if I can find something going on here in this pump. Now you notice we have just your standard steel sealing rings on here. We never go back with a steel. We will always go back with the high pressure ring on the stator and on the center support. We don't ever use the metal ones. I got buckets of them. This is where I was kind of hoping to find some wear. You can see all kinds of wear. Look at that. That thing is just but I was hoping to find it in here. Now this is a later pump body. Remember me talking about how they added this slot right here to put some oil on the back side of this gear right here. And you can see it looks really good through here. Starts getting some shiny through here. See that right there? That's because all the metal that was going through the tranny. I mean, the pump bushing looks new, but you can just see where metal's embedded in it. And here, we'll just have to put a pump in here. But what I was wanting to look at too is the boost valve stuff through here. They said this thing had a bad pump whine. Let's see what type of boost valve assembly we have in here. I can get it out. Almost that time. That spring right there is stout. Of course, we do have a big shift kit spring in here. Get to make sure it wasn't spaced up or anything. And they did take the little horseshoe washer off that goes under this. A lot of times when they put the shift kit springs in there, they want you to leave that off. That way it makes the clearance and the compression of the spring right. See, boost got a steel boost valve and sleeve in it. So I have to clean it up and just see how much it wobbles in there. Because I thought I'd see a lot more wear in this area right here. Plastic brush washer there. I mean, there's different stories going on about this transmission here that I don't want to really talk about, but we just have a standard yellow clutch like I was telling you about. We'll definitely be going back with all the high energy clutches in this unit here, especially the truck's heavy. You know, he's probably going to pull a little trailer and stuff like that. He's going to work it. So we definitely don't want a stock clutch in there. Which we don't have to put a high performance hub in there. We don't need a tinger. This is a thudder. I'll just thud. The hardened ones have a really nice tinging sound to them. You can grab them out of the 480Es and stuff too. Have them in there, or you can actually buy an aftermarket one. But they usually wear in the spline here. So that's why we change them out. Especially in the race cars and stuff. You can see our intermediate clutch down here, our second gear clutch. If you take and apply air through that bolt that I was telling you about, that hollow bolt. I'll put it over here. Oh, here it is. That hollow bolt. I'm basically just blowing air through that bolt to apply that clutch. See that right there? Okay. Now there's a few more holes there too that you can blow air through and apply your high reverse clutch here. I'll show you that too. That's kind of a weird snapping. It's awful thin. Now they did take the wave out here. I'm gonna have to check the clearances. They got no wave. There's 3 thick steels and 3 clutches. We're definitely going to configure a wave back in here where it doesn't hit so hard in second gear. But we're going to add 4 clutches. We're going to put the 480E thin clutch here, 4 of them, and then we'll use the real thin steels here and a different top hat. Actually, I got another top hat over there that'll give me some clearance too to put those clutches in there. So, but we definitely want to put a wave back in second gear. And I'm gonna look in here and see what type of, probably got I don't hear no squeaking, so he's probably got a good sprag in here. Let's see what he's got in here. The only way to make a 400 last with leaving the wave out is to change this sprag assembly right here. And it would have to be a sprag, not a roller clutch style. And of course this has a roller clutch. So this tranny here, and that's broken off. There's a piece missing there. It won't even hold the roller. See how the rest of the spring's here and that piece is gone?
Oh, yeah, I see that.
See that right there?
Mm-hmm.
So this drum, to physically leave the wave out, you're going to have to put this type of sprag in there. And you're going to have, it's going to get dirty, but you got to see it. I mean, I clean everything anyway. You're going to have a different drum because you're going to be putting this type of sprag in there. This is a sprag, this is a roller clutch. They do the exact same thing. They allow it to spin one way and not the other. But this collar doesn't come off, so you have to find a drum that is smooth. So this can go on there. Now this is really, really heavy duty here. Then you can leave the wave out and not be worried about blowing this roller clutch here up. So we're definitely going to change the drum, put that sprag in there, and we're still going to put the wave back in there. We want this tranny to last forever. We don't want it to just bang and stuff like that, because I guarantee you this thing had a terrible second gear shift. You know, for a daily driver and stuff like that, I would have been very upset. That's one thing good about it. I drive all my vehicles that we do, and if I don't like it, you ain't gonna like it. See, we can set our, you got sealing rings here, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them here. And if you notice, these sealing rings already wore out. If you look here, see how these are black, got the coating still on them? These are down to nothing. Look at that. Just down to nothing. And what happened, it's just because of high pressure too, the shift kit spring, stuff like that. You know, you don't need high pressure in a vehicle that you're doing a daily driving all the time. Oh, let me do this. I was going to do this for you. You can put this on there like that. And now we can blow through this support here. This was our intermediate here that pops this piston out. So I don't want to put air in there because it'll blow the seal. But now we can, see, add our clutch there. You notice it comes out this side too, because that same clutch applies third and reverse. Okay. Pretty neat. And we do have a 5 clutch high gear. Now, this vehicle here has a terrible reverse engagement. I mean, it will jar your teeth. A lot of these vehicles come with a wave in high gear because when it goes in reverse, your reverse band back here comes on and your third gear clutch comes on. And they were to soften it up, the only way they could do it was to physically put a wave in here to soften up this third gear clutch apply for reverse. But it does affect your third gear clutch apply going forward. So you got to kind of be careful what you're doing there. But like I said, I'm going to work on this area here. We're still going to use the 5 clutches, but if I can find a wave, I'm going to put it in there, because even with a wave in there, with that good clutch, I think I can make this tranny survive a long, long time and then soften that reverse engagement, because it's terrible. We're looking here for any wear where the sealing rings run. Now if we do a performance, we'll leave this sealing ring off right here, and then we'll leave the seal out of the drum in here. We leave the seals on the piston, but we leave this sealing ring off here, and we leave the seal out of the drum itself. That way it uses the whole piston to apply the clutch, just like that 350 I was showing y'all in our 350 video. I was talking about that seal and stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, we have our engine brake band. This is the one I was telling you about that if you get these mixed up right here, you can apply that band around that drum and not even know you got it on, because when you tighten the valve body down, you got the wrong here and it pushes it too far. So you got to watch what you're doing there. Now on a 400, on some of them, you'll have a little thin snap ring down in here. That way the support, when it sets down in there, it's going to set on this snap ring right here. Okay? But they do make a thick and a thin. If you have a thick, you have no snap ring. If you have a thin, you have a snap ring. So you got to make sure what you have. That way when you put your snap ring to hold the support in, the support don't move up and down. Okay? Well, we got a reverse band that's very, very thin. There's almost no material on that thing. Find a towel. Now you can see here how this band has no material on it right through here anymore. It's almost touching metal to metal when it goes around the drum. They're bad about wearing right on the tips. If you notice how this tip right here, there's no material, no grooves anymore. See here, and then it starts getting grooves again. They'll go metal to metal right here, and then on these tips, you can see this one here is fixing to go metal to metal too because the band's so thin. See, and then next thing you know, you got this messed up here. Now this is a smooth drum. They make a groove drum that takes a different band. The smooth drums, if you notice, this band is grooved. This drum has no groove. Some of them have a groove, but this really is the right band to be putting on this drum here. It's a smooth band because it's smooth all the way across. So, gotta watch all that stuff, let me tell you. Of course, you have a bearing here. Two pieces. You want to make sure it's not pitted or anything like that on both sides. This kind of sets up in here like that. Then you have a thrush washer down in here too, a little plastic one. They do make a brass one too, which in this situation, we'll be replacing that plastic one with a brass one. Get that out of there. And the same way this one here, we'll be replacing this one, plastic one, with a brass one too. Get rid of the plastic out of the tranny. And we do have a roller clutch here. I'll just take it out and look at it, see if it falls apart like the other one did, just like that. See that bearing fall out of there and didn't even touch it. When they do that, that tells me that the springs are weak on this roller clutch. They won't hold the, when they do that, just throw it away and get you another one. They're junk. Tore out. Bushing right here, to me that looks like a factory bushing from day one when this Planet was built. If you look at a, where is it? Open this bushing kit. You can see what a brand new bushing looks like here. It won't have that black 200-year stain in it. See that stain that's in there like that? Yeah, that's from age. That's how that gets built up in there. And of course your new bushing, you know, it's going to be clean. Of course you want to look at all your gears and make sure they don't wobble or anything like that. Look at them and see how much metal they ran over. You know, this had didn't have chunks of metal, it had graphite metal, where just really fine, almost like Comet. You know, somebody put Comet in the pan or something.
Remember, there was something missing off of this over here. Remember?
Well, that's, oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, that roller clutch spring, half of it's missing. Where'd it go? Right there. That one's missing. That's why that roller fell plumb out. It's all on the ground. So, of course, we have a thrush washer here. Now, what I do is, we'll take this metal 3-tab race out of the bottom of it here, and then we'll go back with a bearing. I don't have the bearing out. I got them over there. I'd have to go find them. I meant to grab one and set it over here so you guys would see. But we'll physically roller bearing the back half of this right here. Set our clearance up. You can just see the bushings, how old they are. This right here is so critical on bushing wear. It keeps this drum centered. This slides down into here like this. Right, that's a lot of weight, okay? But it keeps, let me set this down in there. I like doing this. Set this down in here like that. Set this like that. Set your, of course you're gonna have a bearing. Where'd my bearing go? I have that bearing. And you're gonna set your support down there like that, okay? If you get this right here, keeps this drum from rubbing on this support here. If you get bushing wear right here, this drum will come over and rub on the support right here. And when it does, it grinds it all through here where the support starts rubbing. Like that. If that bushing wears on the end of that shaft right there, this drum will lay down and it'll just rub on that support, because this doesn't turn. This turns around it. Like that. So, but you can see where that bushing's at. So if you get rocking right here, which that does rock back and forth. See that rocking? If this bushing here gets worn in here, down in here, if this gets wore here, you can see the wear in there. See that? It'll do the exact same thing. This drum weighs so much that there's a lot of load on these bushings right there. Now they do make two bushings. They make a grooved bushing for a 4L80E late that you do not want to put in here. You want to make sure a 400 has no grooves in it. The early model 4L80Es take a 400 bushing just like this. The rear lube 4L80Es take a groove bushing because the oil physically goes through the bushings to travel down the shafts or travel down the bore of the tranny to lubricate it. So if you put this bushing in a 4L80E late, you're going to block off lube going forward. So you got to be just kind of throw that in there, give you an idea on something. And we also have this little washer right here. They did away with it on the later 4L80Es. The early, some of them had it. But it's like a lube washer. It keeps the oil maintained inside this Planet. All your oil is going to be on the inside spraying. And now this is going to fill up like a lake inside because they put that seal there. Come on. Let me try to put it in. I don't think it'll go in there first. It's got to go on here. See if I can get it that way. But you kind of got the idea. See, all the oil pressure's on the inside. Now this is whole cavity on the inside is going to fill up because that seal in there like that. It lets it come out a little bit. You can see because there's a gap, but still it'll fill it up like a lake in there. Now also, if you notice, they had a plastic washer. This washer went here, but if you look, this is a plastic washer, this is a 4-tab washer, the exact same thicknesses. You can take, and that 4-tab washer was set right in there. Throw that plastic away. Now your drum runs on that nice brass washer. Now you do want to make sure that these pins right here haven't moved. We TIG weld these on the back side because they're really bad about walking this way and grinding on this washer. If you notice, the washer runs right there like that. See, so if a pin comes out, it's going to start taking out this washer right here. So you want to definitely make sure that these are below flush. So, but that gives you a nice washer in here instead of plastic. A lot of the drag racing trannies, the turbo trannies and stuff, the converters get so hot from boosting the turbos up on the starting line and trying to bump in and stuff, they just make a ton of heat. that old bushing wiped out too. Look at that bushing.
Yeah.
Terrible. So you want to look here where all your bushings rub. You want to look at your bearings, braces, make sure there's no pitting on either side. All these bearings come apart. They're 3 pieces, so you can always take your screwdriver and just take them apart. Now, sometimes when you take these apart, they got cheap on us a little bit where they removed every other bearing, the early designs. So if you got bearings laying around, grab a bearing that has all the bearings instead of every other one missing.
Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you want to look in here, make sure there's no pitting. Same way on this side here, no pitting. That almost looks like that's cracked right there. Oh, that is. They say you gotta look for everything. See, even the small stuff. You can see here, it looks like somebody ran a scribe across it or something right there. Well, you know that bearing runs over that. Just makes a little tick noise every time it runs over it. So replace the bearing looked good, the outer or that one race looked good. Replace the other one. Come in here in the same way, look at the gears here, make sure they don't wobble. Make sure that since it's had so much metal in it, you want to look at the gears on both sides of them and make sure they're not pitted or where we just have to replace the whole planet and stuff from all the comet kind of being down in there and stuff. So, well, you can see here the case, the crack did go all the way through. You know, we could try to weld that, but I think I'll just go grab a case I have, 4-wheel drive case, and just not even mess with it, put it to the side, and that way we can get things going here and just weld that up some other time or something. Let's see, was this an 8-bolt? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is an 8-bolt case. Look at this, guys. So I'll cut the bell housing off here and re-tap that hole right there. That way, drill and tap it. That way my ultra bell will have 8 bolts to bolt onto. So that's a good case right there to use for that.
Good save.
Yeah, good save. Well, we want to thank Miss Teresa for videoing. It's been a long week, got a lot more work to do. We've been busy. Well, don't forget to subscribe, push that notification bell, and Miss Teresa, we just love you to death, and we will talk to you later. Have a great day.